Hi, you're listening to Peaceful Homeschool Podcast with Emma and Beth. I'm Emma.
And I'm Beth.
Hi, Beth.
Hi, Emma.
So it might seem funny when I always say hi to Beth because we're not actually at the same place. She's in a different state than me, so we're just doing this via Zoom, which is sometimes why there's like a weird little glitchy sound. But I always want to say hi to her because I'm like, oh, hi, even though I've been talking to her. But yeah, I'm not just weird like, oh, hey, she's here sitting next to me. She's not. Anyway, so hi, Beth.
Hi, Emma.
Okay, so this week we are talking about the world is our classroom, which it really is just real world learning. And it basically means like not just sitting at home doing school all day out of a textbook. I remember somebody joined my group and she had a kindergartner at the time, and she was doing a like one of the virtual schools, which wasn't really a thing back then, not like it is nowadays. But she joined and she said that she was really sad one day because her kindergartner had been doing her virtual school day for something like 7 hours already, and she hadn't finished. And she was reading in there about a tree and like how the bark would feel and just a lot of different things about a tree. And her mom like looked out the window and there's a tree out there. And she's like, I wish we could stop doing this and go out and like be amongst the trees. I'm like, oh my gosh, you can like stop doing it that way. That was so many years ago. And like, that's forever like ingrained in my head, like her poor little sad kindergartner, like just being stuck at the computer looking at a tree.
I think there's a lot of that, like where we and so many of us have been like that, where we're like, oh, we've got to do the checklist, we've got to do this, but we forget about, wait, the checklist is just kind of an outline, but here we are missing out on these experiences that would teach us way more than the checking off those boxes.
Yeah, and I think that if you're just thinking like, oh, we need to learn about this thing because it's in the book, but it's something that's available to you in real life, or that could be available to you in real life, go to the real life. You're in your real life, but go find the thing, go learn about it, go touch it and explore it, and, go more in depth about it. Don't just be like, well, we read about it in a book, now we're done. Right. Yeah. Anyway, so that's what we're talking about today, real world learning versus just standard book work, or if you use a virtual program or whatever, however you're doing your schoolwork. But learning can come from so many places. We're learning all the time. We're learning when we're talking with people, when we're out exploring, while we're at home, with our families. It never stops. It's not like from 8 to 3, my kids 5 days a week learn. No, that's not how it works. My kids learn all the time, throughout the year, throughout the week, throughout the day. And it's not something that just stops. That doesn't happen during quote unquote school time. So I know Beth and I both have done a lot of different things that are, real world learning with our kids. In our group, we've done a lot of different things that are real world learning that we can really get the kids, excited about, and doing some hands-on fun stuff. So I wrote out a couple of examples for today of things we've done, or things that would be really easy to do. And then Beth can chime in too, because I realize that I talk a lot. That's not a revelation of people who know me. But apparently I talk a lot on this podcast too. So that if Beth tells me, like yells at some point, shut up, you'll know why. Not really. Beth would never yell, shut up to me.
Maybe. No.
Feel free to yell, shut up, Beth. What?
I said maybe.
Okay, so anyway, we're like, say you're studying geology. So that's one of the examples that I jotted down. You're studying geology for whatever grade your kid is. You're talking about different types of rocks. So do you have to just sit down and, like watch the little program about it on your online learning, or sit there with your textbook and learn about it? No, you don't. You can go to the library and check out a bunch of books. Let your kid, find a bunch that look interesting, find some good reference books about it. You can watch various videos about geology and different types of rocks. And they're now, I mean, we have the ability to, at the drop of there's not a drop of a bucket. What's that called? Like very in the in the blink of an eye. How about let's go
Woo!
with that
There we
one?
go. I like that one.
Yes. Woo! It has been such a long week. In the blink of an eye, you could like come up with a ton of different videos about different types of rocks and geology to show your kids. Then you could set up a field trip. You could go explore caverns or lava tubes or go to a gold panning museum or a gem mining museum and really just get out there and learn and feel and let your kids experience it. Then bring some rocks home. You can study them and compare and contrast with what the siblings brought home or what you see in the books that you have. They can test the hardness on the Mohs scale, identify the type of rock it is. Is it igneous or sedimentary or metamorphic? Maybe the way that they can, show you that they learned something is they can give a little oral presentation to your family or your group or whatever to practice speaking, which I might need help with today. Sorry. Maybe you can go to like a rock and gem expo or a store. Like there's so many cool things that you can do to learn about different types of rocks. Instead of like, I read this one chapter and I answered the questions and now I'm done. I learned about different types of rocks.
Right.
Like that's
Yeah.
lame.
Yeah. Like when my son, I can't remember if it's fourth grade or fifth grade when they learn about California. They're fifth grade.
Oh, maybe it is fourth. I think you're right. I don't live in California anymore, so I don't remember.
Whenever it was. And we planned throughout that whole school year different times to go to different missions. Yes. And we planned, like when we visited family, we'd look for a mission nearby, and we ended up going to quite a few, and it was so much fun. And it was just like so awesome to see the different missions, to see how far apart they were and to learn all about them. And the library near us at that time, it also had a rock like you could go check out like a learning kit. I can't remember what they were called, but like Learning Express or I don't know. And but they'd have like a rock bag and it had like actual rocks you could compare to the charts. It came within videos, but they had one on the California missions also, and it came with fun videos and maps and all these different fun things to do. And so when you're diving into different topics, being able to just search and find things in your local area, or if you're planning vacations, to see if there happens to be something that goes along with that while you're out on a vacation, is just, it's really fun. Like I've learned so much myself, like along with my kids, and it's been just such a fun experience to be a part of their learning with them, about so many subjects you can do this with. So
yeah,
if you have if you have a university near you, like we have near us, we have UC Davis, and they've got like this, like my son was very much into bugs, and they have an entomology department there that they let the kids go in, and you can just stop by. You have to check on each department, but they would let you walk in there, and the students that were in there working, they would let my son, they would get all excited to talk to somebody excited about bugs, and they would get into like have these big long discussions with this little 5-year-old about bugs. And they would like go show him all these bugs. My poor daughter's terrified of bugs, so we'd have to like be hiding her in the corner. But like if you have like these schools around you or colleges or different places or different businesses that are, or like if you have a, I don't know, like a rocket place by you, I don't know, different places, you might have places by you that you can take your kids to that you wouldn't normally think of as a place for a field trip or a learning experience, but they have people that are so excited about those subjects that are just love the idea of talking to kids about it, and they enjoy it, and it's not like a burden for them to like take the time because they're so excited about their passions that they get to share it with young people. It's really fun. So just don't.
Yeah, for sure. That made me think of like the Aerospace Museum in California. And like for kids that are into airplanes, you can go to the air show and watch, all the different types of airplanes go over. You can go to the Aerospace Museum, and they always have like, all these cool rotating exhibits that they bring in. Um, there's like the cool young Ingalls, not Charles Ingalls. There's um
I remember all the moms thought he was hot.
I know I was gonna say, oh my gosh, Beth and Charles Ingalls.
I didn't think so. I was like, he was the dad. That's weird, Emma. You're weird.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Young Eagles program is like this really cool program where pilots can have kids go up in a small plane and teach them about flight. You can get flight hours. My oldest and my youngest have both done that. And to be able to go up in a small plane and be learning hands-on I think my daughter was 8 when she did it. And my older one was probably 16 then. To be able to go up in a small plane and be learning about how to fly it and to already be getting flight hours at that age, like that's crazy. And there was no charge for it or anything. It's like there's so many cool hands-on things instead of like, let's just look in the book at our unit about airplanes.
Right. And so those people that we knew, one of the people that actually is one of the pilots that would take the kids and do that. And it's his passion. And so for him, he thought it was like one of the best things ever. And he looks forward to doing it every year. And so that brings me to another idea. If you have a passion, make sure you're sharing it with other people and see if there is a program you can either be involved in or start so that other kids, so you can teach, not other kids, you could be a kid, I guess, doing that, but you could teach young people expose them to these interests so that they might decide if they want to be involved in that as they get older. And so share.
Totally. Okay, so but for reals, like there are so many things out in the community that you could look around for and, just find different opportunities to, to really learn a lot more in a way that's not just sitting, with a workbook or a textbook or whatever. Some of the other things we've done, and really like in my family, like all my kids know how to cook and bake, and we very much are into teaching our kids life skills and making sure that by the time they graduate, they not only know what their passion is and hopefully are going to try to be able to find a way to have that be the way they also earn money as an adult, but also that they have the skills to handle things themselves, that they can handle, all of them, whether they're male or female. We want them to be able to cook and do laundry and do chores and take care of their car and all of the things. Like they should be able to do it all. Hopefully we've given them those skills by the time they graduate. And it's fun. You can do a lot of those things with friends. You can do them on your own as a family, whatever. But if you're talking about like money and budgeting for life skills, you can do that from the time they're young until you can get really intense when they're in high school. And, have them help with meal planning. Mm-hmm. There's no reason why kids cannot be included in planning meals for your family. And then, depending on their age, they can help with cooking. They can, you can give them, you can have them help pick out a recipe and give them some money, and you go to the store and let them be in charge of, like buying all the ingredients, thinking about whether some of the, regular pantry staples are at home or not. And then when they come home, making the food, if they need to quadruple a recipe or double a recipe or whatever, they can do that. Touch on all the other things that go along with that. Cooking healthy foods, eating from the different food groups, properly storing food, kitchen safety, table manners, serving others, clearing their food, clearing the food, putting it away, washing dishes. Like all the things, there's so much to be learned rather than, just reading in a book about, budgeting or cooking or whatever. Like, right. It's super important.
Right. Yeah. Like those are things like you reminded me, talking about that of, I have a family member who like is amazing. And when she was high school age, she was involved in
Mm.
lots of sports and she worked really hard to get good grades and she did all those things. But one time I was over at the
Mhm.
house and she did not know how to read the brownie box instructions to make like a brownie mix.
Oh
And
man.
so I was like, it kind of made an impression on me that she's clearly intelligent enough to be able to do the brownies, but
Right.
she had never really been shown because her life was so busy with
Yeah.
school, tutors, getting good grades, and then so filled with sports. And yet now in her life, she's a mom. And those are
Hmm.
the skills she needed to be learning too. Like all those things are
Right.
fine and good. Like, you know, school and
Yes.
sports and all that's good. But what we sometimes miss out on in our culture being so driven, um, like that we are sometimes forgetting our kids that they need to be learning the basics of cooking, knowing how to measure things with the measuring cups and all those different things,
Right.
basic recipe following. And everybody needs to know how to make some basic recipes.
Yeah.
You know, everyone. So
Yes.
anyway, it made an impression on me that here
Yeah.
she is, this brilliant, um, amazing young woman that is a go-getter and doing all these things, but she didn't know how
Mhm.
to read the brownie box mix. You know, the brownie
Yeah.
mix box. I can't say that. But yeah.
No, I
So
mean it's good though to think about that and to think about, you and I both have boys and girls, and it's not like we're like, oh, we're only going to teach our girls to cook, or we're only going to
right,
teach our girls how to, comfort a baby, or we're only going to teach our boys how to, change the oil, or, work on the car, or mow the lawn, or whatever. Like, no, people all need to know these skills.
right.
Everybody hopefully is going to grow into an adult. And as an adult, you want to be able to do those things. And whether you're in a relationship or not as an adult, like you still want to be able to do those things.
Right, absolutely. I agree. Like having like chores is a big deal, and a lot of people are missing those right now too. And having like the basics of knowing just that, knowing how to do those things and just
Yeah,
basics. Like there are kids that don't know very basic, like sweeping, vacuuming, very basic things,
right.
and that it won't kill them to do it, and that it doesn't take as
Yes,
long as they think it will. It's
right.
really a 5-minute
Yes,
job.
yes.
So
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that from the time kids are little, they can be helping with household chores. Like in our family, we've always said like we're a family, and in a family, everybody helps.
yeah.
Like it's not like only the mom does all the work, or only the dad does all the work, or only the oldest sibling does all the work. Like as a family, we work together. We all are part of making our household run
Hmm.
smoothly. And I mean, it's super important. From the time my kids are little, they are all learning how to cook and learning how to help sort the laundry. There's so many things that your toddlers can help with and that they feel excited to help with. And, like they're a big kid if they're able to help with those things. And one close friend said to me, I don't know, a few years back, she said, "Oh my gosh, I remember that you always make your kids clear their area," which is what I tell my kids. I've told them that from the time they were little until tonight at dinner. I say, like, okay, make sure you clear your area. And that's just making sure that, whatever you've eaten or done or whatever, that you clean up your spot besides helping with the stuff in the family. And they're not just responsible for their own messes, they're responsible for their own messes and helping within the family. But my friend, she was like, "Oh my gosh, that made an impression on me." And then she started having her kids. She's like, "Yeah, why am I not asking my kids to clear their own plate, from the table, or clean up their own, like crumbs or whatever they made all over the table or whatever?" Um, I'm like, even 2-year olds could do that, like
Right.
easily.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I think chores are super important too, and that our kids know, how to work hard and how to pitch in and how to be responsible in those ways as well.
And all of that can be achieved through homeschooling.
It is true. It is part
Because
of the
you
homeschool
have
day
time.
for sure.
With
Yeah.
homeschooling, it gives you that time to have that focus. I notice as my daughter right now is so busy with, she's 17, she's taking college classes, she's in multiple theater groups, she's doing so much. We haven't had as much time for chores. So like it's been a lot harder to get that accomplished, but on the, you know, but she's always willing to help when she has the time, and just being able to know that I can count on her for that is a huge deal.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, and, you know, I think that some people, when they're new to homeschooling, they can feel like, how can I do it all? How can I accomplish everything I need to accomplish, plus do the homeschooling? And, you know, how am I going to care for the house and do the laundry and make all the meals and whatever? And like Beth said, it is part of your homeschooling. That is part of what you're doing is, you know, oh, it's time to do laundry. Okay, cool. We're going to gather up the laundry and we're going to get it done. And we can, you know, sort together and fold together. And even toddlers can sort the colors or, you know, whatever. And, you know, saying like, okay, well, here's, you know, we're going to make lunch. We're going to work on this. And you're teaching your kids those skills while you're cooking lunch together, while you're clearing up together, while you're, you know, working in the garden together, whatever it is. So, I mean, thinking you have to be able to do it all plus homeschool, doing it part, you know, part of homeschooling is part of the doing it all, and you don't have to do it all yourself. As a family, you all work together to do those things. Okay, so some other ideas just to be helpful, you know, for those of you that are starting out or that could use some tips on ways that you could get out of the, you know, out of the textbooks and out into the world. One of the things that we've done in our family many times throughout the years is picking a country. And we've done it for various reasons and at various times. And it's always super fun. We've done geography fairs together with other friends. We've done a lot of learning that, you know, involves geography and history kind of all wrapped into one, but it makes it more fun if we include other subjects as well. And so if you want to do like, you know, each month, we've done it where literally we put a bunch of countries into a bowl and then we just pick a country and that's the one we do, or we've just chosen a country that we, you know, thought would be interesting to learn about. And then we, you know, go to the library and we get a bunch of books. We find recipes that we can make from that country. So we, you know, can try different foods of that country. We try to find music online that we can listen to from that country. Sometimes, you know, different countries have different traditional ways of dressing that we don't normally dress here. And so it's interesting to be able to find those, which now online is pretty easy, or in books that you get from the library. When my kids were younger, we made puppets, and they were just like you know, basically a cardboard puppet on a stick. But then as we studied the different countries, we would try to like design clothes that were, you know, traditional dress from that country. And we would put them on our puppets and have our puppets dance around or whatever fun thing we would do with puppets at the time. But it was good for them to, you know, kind of get, not just see the traditional dress, but we, for the most part, didn't have access to, you know, other people's clothes from other people's countries. But because we were using the puppets, we were able to at least make the clothes for our puppets. What else? You can find some interesting facts about the country, notable people and notable events that have happened in that country. Depending upon the age of your kids, you know, you might make it more simple and fun, or you can make it more complex. You know, they could do a report about that country. They could make a PowerPoint presentation. They could give an oral report to, you know, your group or to your family or whatever. You can, you know, certainly, you know, add in various written components if you want to. You can calculate the distance it would take to fly to that country, or to, you know, drive to the country if it, you know, if it's contiguous to us. Whatever it is, you can add in all of the different subjects and make it super fun, and they can really have some great in-depth learning about that one country, instead of just, oh, I studied about, you know, insert whatever random country, China in my book, and now I know about China.
Speaking of China, do you remember the year that we had the little Chinese New Year parade at the park for one of the homeschool park days? This is one of my most favorite memories of all. And so one of our friends' little girls was very like very outgoing and very engaging and very silly girl and very smart.
Uh-huh.
And there was a little girl that was not part of our homeschool group that came to the park, but she was dressed
Oh
in
gosh, I know exactly
traditional.
what you're gonna say.
So
Sorry.
cute. She was dressed in a traditional Chinese outfit, and it was just so beautiful. And the mom came to take some photos to celebrate Chinese New Year. And so this sweet girl of our friends, girl, she was really excited, and she'd made dragons. They'd made different things to do their little parade, and she ran over to meet this girl, and they were chatting, and she said, come and play with us. And they were playing, and she said, you can be in our parade. You can pretend to be a little Chinese girl. And this cute little girl said, I am a little Chinese girl. And then they were like, great. They're like, come on then. It was like the cutest, sweetest, funniest interaction to me. It was so innocent and just so cute and lovable that everybody was excited about Chinese New Year. And like, it was such a
Yes.
cute, funny, sweet experience. And I always think of that. I just, sorry, when you said that, it reminded me of that time. And it was the cutest, funniest thing ever. And both girls were so
I had totally
sweet.
forgotten about that.
Oh my gosh. And the little
But
sweet
I
girl.
remember afterwards. I know. I remember afterwards, some of the moms are like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, hopefully the mom of that cute little girl was not offended or something.
It
But
was
no,
so
she didn't
sweet,
seem
and
to be.
all of it was sweet and innocent. And here,
Yeah.
like, one little sweet girl is excited about the Chinese culture and celebrating
Yes.
it. And then this cute interaction happened. She's like, great. Like, this is the best
Yeah.
day ever. This is, it was like so much fun and cute. And hopefully that's not offensive to anyone, because I just thought it was one of the cutest, sweetest things. Just this cute
Yes.
interaction and loving. Like, little kids are just the best. Like, they're just
Yes.
so excited about learning and having fun. So
Okay, so some other ideas if you're looking for ideas to get out there. If your kids are interested in music or dance, we have gone to so many cool things. We've gone to festivals, we've gone to classes, we've gone to contra dances, kind of like folk dances, and learned folk dancing. Even my teens, we just were at one a few weeks ago. We have got, there's all sorts of meetups. Like, we've joined dance meetups just to go, which is mostly usually adults, but then, some homeschoolers show up, which is fun. Concerts, plays, going to see plays is super cool. You could then talk about the music and dance that they've incorporated into that play. You could compare and contrast plays. If it's a play that you also have read a book about or seen a movie about, you can do that as well. My 17-year-old is super into animals. So, like, if you have a kid into animals, go to the animal rescue center and see if you can volunteer, or if you can just, learn and be there and get to know the keepers or the helpers there.
some of the local zoos
Shelters, the
have
nature
programs.
center.
The zoos, some of the local zoos
Yes.
allow kids to come in and work with the animals too. Well, they
Yeah,
allow them to
totally.
volunteer.
And
Like, go
yeah,
play with
and
the
yeah,
tiger.
and well, hopefully not the tiger. But there's so much learning that can be done when you're actually caring for the animals instead of just seeing them. And so being able to help with, even if you can't help with food, I know some places don't allow that for kids. But cleaning up cages and just helping, finding out about their regiment for caring for their animals. It's so super educational. We have also done just zoo field trips with our group, where I had each kid ahead of time, each kid in our group pick an animal that they have at that zoo and learn about it, and really learn, a lot of in-depth information about it. And then as we walked through the zoo, we would stop, which if you have really little kids might not work, but we would stop at each exhibit, and that kid would then share the information with us that they had learned about that particular, lemur or whatever. And it was really cool to have these kids practicing their skills of talking in front of people and sharing their knowledge after having learned a lot about this one particular animal. I mean, there definitely are a lot of ways that you can incorporate learning even into just a field trip, like going to the zoo.
Yep. Yeah, there are
And
just
then
so many
Beth already,
ways. Sorry.
yeah, and Beth already mentioned this too, but like when you go on vacations, like that is such a like you think about going on vacation and you want it to be relaxing and enjoyable and not do school there necessarily, but that doesn't mean you're not going to do learning. And so going to national parks and like being part of their junior ranger program and earning badges, like you have to learn in order to do that. You have to answer their questions. Usually you usually have to like give a little oath or something before they'll give you your badge. There are so many cool things that you can learn just by going to historical places or geological sites or museums, like wherever you are going on vacation. So I always like to look up, which I know Beth mentioned too, like look up places ahead of time and just see like, oh, there's going to be this environmental festival going on, when we're at Lake Tahoe this week or whatever it is. There's so many cool things that you can go do that you're going to enjoy as a family, and it's going to be a fun part of your vacation, but you can still do some hands-on learning while you're out there.
I cannot remember the name of the card we bought. There was a membership we bought at one of the children's museums in Sacramento. And the
Oh, yeah.
membership we bought there worked for
Hmm.
places all over the country, but the membership
Right.
at that one was cheaper to buy there
Hmm.
than it was for any to even go into some of the places. So I'll look up
Yes.
that link and I will share that link with you to see if that can work in your region. So look in your region at your local like children's museum or different museums and see which system they're connected to, because sometimes you might spend $40 for a family membership and you can go into museums across the whole entire country for that
Yep.
year for either a really steep discount or free. And it was
Yep.
amazing. Like, so, but some of the things would have cost us more than $40 to get into the museum as a family
Right.
than it was to buy that membership for the entire year. So look
Yeah.
around for inexpensive and frugal ways to, and look in your local homeschool groups and see if people have posted ways to get discounts into museums or different things. And because if you're on a really tight budget, there's so many ways to do this
Hmm.
for frugal or free or
Yeah, we're definitely going to have like a whole episode about that because
yeah,
there are so many ways that you can homeschool for free or cheap, and so many cool incentives you can give your kids for reading or learning or whatever. Um, but yeah, that pass that Beth is talking about, I have heard so many people have used it and then they're like, oh, but then I went to this, museum in wherever, New Mexico, and got in for free. And it would have cost way more than the original $40 or whatever that you paid in Sacramento.
right, yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool. That's a really good tip. A lot of places also have homeschool days or homeschool
Hmm.
discount days or whatever, which is good to look at when you're planning your vacations as well. But, like thinking about schooling your kids at home, thinking about whether it needs to be this, 7 days a week, sitting down at a desk with a textbook, whatever, just keep remembering that learning is all around us. Like the world is so amazing. There are so many learning opportunities everywhere you look. You can do a lot of learning outside of a sit down workbook setting. And that's the goal. The goal is learning. The goal isn't sitting down all day at a desk with a workbook or a textbook or whatever. The goal is learning. So if you keep that in mind and you get out there and you explore and you learn and you grow together, like it can really be an amazing journey that's not, some grind, some stressful, hard thing that you're doing.
Yeah, if it's stressful and hard, it's time to take a shift in your approach and because it really should be not hard. So if it starts to be
Yeah.
where you're feeling burned out, or if you're feeling overwhelmed by it, or your kids are crying, or you're stressed out, it's really
Yep.
time to shift. So because that's the
Yep.
goal is a peaceful homeschool, and that's what we're here to try and help you find. So
Yep. For sure. I think that's all we have for today. If you have questions about this or if you have comments or, other tips that you can share on our Facebook page, on Peaceful Homeschool Facebook page.
Instagram.
Yes, that we have a Pinterest page. we have our website, which is peacefulhomeschool.com. If you could, if you're enjoying the podcast or you're getting some tips from it or whatever, feel free to like and share and subscribe and do all the things. It's been great hearing from people in various areas and, getting contacted saying that, it has been kind of a good refresher for some of those people who've been homeschooling for a long time, but also that it's been a big help to some new homeschoolers. So that's super encouraging for us that we're able to, kind of be an encouragement for you guys.
Yeah, we're very grateful for you all for listening. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.